Hello everyone, I'm Stella from Stella's Yarn Universe. In today's Amigurumi tutorial, we'll crochet this little fawn together. Many of you have suggested that I design a pattern for a little deer, and so I thought it's time to do that. Of course, you can use the same pattern to crochet grown-up deer as well. Just use one color and don't do the color changes on the back. Also, if you don't like color changes, don't be deterred because you can absolutely crochet along with me in one color only. And if you'd like to make a little fawn, you can just embroider the white spots on the back afterwards once you're done. So there's also a written pattern in the description box below if you'd like to see that to accompany the video. And if you have any questions, just leave me a comment below. I hope you'll enjoy this little project. Let's get started. For this little project, we need yarn in DK or light worsted weight, in light brown and cream or white. I'm using Paintbox Yarns Cotton DK in soft fudge and champagne white. If you want to use the exact same yarn, I'll link to those in the description box below. We also need a 2.5mm hook, which is something in between the size B1 and C2. Depending on how tightly you crochet, you can go for a B1 if you crochet more loosely, or for a C2 if you tend to crochet quite tightly, or just use a 2.5mm if that's available where you are. Then we need some fiber fill, a yarn needle, safety eyes, or black embroidery floss if you prefer to embroider the eyes. These safety eyes are 5mm in diameter. And oh, I actually forgot. We need black embroidery floss anyway for the little nose and mouth. And we also need a large-eyed sewing needle to make the embroidery. Then we need a yarn needle. I like the ones with bent tip. I also have a link to those in the description box. If you're interested, they're really nice for sewing on body parts. Then we need a stitch marker, scissors of course, some pins, and this is optional. If you have flat pliers like these, you can use them to pull out the needle when you make the embroidery, but don't worry if you don't have one, because alternatively you can just make more stitches, and this way it takes a little longer, but you don't have as much resistance and you should be able to easily pull out the needle with your hands. So without further ado, let's get crocheting. We begin with the legs in light brown. And we start with a magic ring, so just use your preferred magic ring method. And then in round 1, we single crochet 6 in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then close the magic ring. I always don't close it completely after round 1 because I crochet quite tightly, and this way I can more easily insert my hook in the first stitch for the next round. In round 2, we only crochet in the back loops. So 1 in each back loop, 6 single crochet all together. So we just go through the back loop here. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Make sure that the outside is outside so that it's not turned inside out. And now we can tighten the magic ring if you haven't already. So just pull that tight. So now in the next round, we single crochet in both loops of each stitch. So just regular single crochet stitches, 1 in each stitch again, so 1 round of 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's round 3 done. Round 4 is just the same, so just 1 round of 6 single crochet, 1 in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's round 4 done. Now in round 5, we increase a little. So we single crochet 2, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. And then we increase in the next stitch, in the third one here. So 2 single crochet in here. And then we repeat these steps. So 2 single crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. And then increase in the last stitch. So 1 single crochet and another one in the same stitch. That's round 5 done. Now in round 6 we decrease again, so we single crochet 2, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And now we make an invisible decrease, so we go through the front loop of the next stitch and then the front loop of the next stitch. Oops, split my yarn. Pick up the yarn, pull it through the 2 front loops. So now we have 2 loops on our hook, and we pick up the yarn and pull it through these 2 loops. And now we have a nice decrease without gaps. And we repeat this once more. So 2 single crochet, 1 in the next, 1 in the next, and decrease again. Now in the next round we single crochet 1 in each stitch, so 6 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's the foreleg done already. Yeah, that's it. That's my other one here. So now you can fasten off. You can leave the yarn end a little bit longer. This should be enough, like 10 centimeters maybe. That's just to maybe 12 centimeters in case. Like 4 inches, I think. Because later we may have some gaps between the belly and the legs, and we can use these yarn ends to close them. So that's the foreleg done. So now you can go back to whichever minute. I'm gonna write here, or just open the description box and click on the clickable timestamp, sorry, for the foreleg, and repeat these steps to make the other foreleg. Now the bottom half of the hind legs is crocheted the same way as the forelegs. So you can again go back to whichever minute I'm going to put here and crochet round 1 to 4 of the forelegs, or maybe you remember round 1 to 4, so repeat those, and then we continue in a different way for the upper half of the hind legs. So for the hind legs in round 5, we have one more round of 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then in round 6 we increase, so we single crochet 2, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, increase in the 3rd stitch, and then we repeat this, so 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and increase in the last stitch. So now our round has 8 stitches, and in the next 2 rounds we simply single crochet 1 in each of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's round 7 done, and one more round, 1 single crochet in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's it. So now we can fasten off here. Again, we can leave about 4 inches for the yarn end. And then we repeat these steps for the second hind leg. So you can just do round 1 to 4 for the forelegs, and then you can get back to whichever minute I'm gonna write here, or I'll write it in the description box below. I put a clickable timestamp there for round 5 of the hind legs. Next we will crochet the belly, and we'll use light brown once again, and this time we start with 4 chains. So we make a little loop with a slip knot, one, 2, 3, 4 chains we need, and then in round 1 we start making a single crochet in the second chain here, and then in the next chain 1 single crochet, and then 4 single crochet in the last chain here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 3 and 4, you notice I turned the work around so that we have 4 single crochet all around, and now we can crochet in the other side of these chains. So now we'll make 1 single crochet in the other side of the next chain, and then we'll make 3 single crochet in the other side of the next chain. 1, 2, 3. And here I'll start using my stitch marker. So I'll put this in the last stitch. In the next round, we already start joining the legs. So I have them to hand here. And where our hook is now, and where we have the stitch marker, the end of the round, that's where the back is going to be, and this side of the belly is going to be the front. So we start with attaching a hind leg, and then we'll crochet our way forward, attach a foreleg, attach the other foreleg, and go back the other side, attach the hind leg, and then we're done with the round. So we start with 1 hind leg. I'll just take one of them, and they may already be pointing in a certain direction. So this one is pointing that way, and this is how I want to attach it to the belly. So because this is the back, where my stitch marker is, that's the back, and this is the front, so I want it to be pointing in this direction. So in order for that to happen, I should join somewhere at the inside of the leg. So I want to attach it this way, so then this side is the inside, and I choose a stitch at the inside of the leg, but more toward the back, and let's see how that goes. So I insert my needle in the first stitch of the hind leg. It doesn't matter where it is in the round, but the position matters, so it's at the inside of the leg, more toward the back. If this doesn't turn out to be right, we can always redo it later, so no worries. Now we single crochet 1 in each of these 8 stitches of the hind leg. So that's 1, Now the next one happens to be the last stitch of the round, so when single crocheting in the last stitch of the round of the leg that's fastened off, then just keep in mind that this yarn end will come loose, and just tighten it after crocheting in this stitch. Then in the next one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now we've crocheted all around the hind leg, and next we crochet in the first 3 stitches of the belly. So in these 1, 2, 3, 1 single crochet in each, and after doing the first one, you should already be able to see if the hind leg is attached in the right way, and it's looking quite good. So it's pointing forward and maybe even a little outward, but I think that's nice. I think that's kind of how they stand. They sometimes look like they have X-shaped legs, the little fawns. So that was 1 single crochet, so 2 more in the belly, 1 in the next, and 1 in the next stitch. So now we can attach the first foreleg. So I take one of those, and with the forelegs you may also notice that it looks like it's pointing a bit more in one direction than in the other. So usually where we have the back of round 1, that's usually what looks more like the back of the leg. So that's why I want to attach it this way. And so as I did with the hind leg, I choose a stitch at the inside of the leg, but almost this time definitely more toward the back. So I start inserting my hook here in the last stitch of the round, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the last stitch of the round for you. Just try this out. And then wherever you have the last stitch, once you crocheted it, pull this end tight. And then we single crochet all around the foreleg. So 6 single crochet, that was the first. And this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we crocheted all around the foreleg, and next we'll single crochet in the next 2 stitches of the belly, this one and this one. And after doing the first single crochet, we'll already be able to see if our leg looks attached, looks like it's attached in the right way, and it seems so. It seems like it's pointing, looks like it's pointing forward a bit. You can also bend it a little bit later to look more like a little fawn leg. Okay, so that worked well. Now onto the other side. So 1 more single crochet in here. So now we have the front facing this way and the back this way. So now we want to attach the other foreleg, and again we will choose our first stitch by choosing a stitch at the inside of the leg but closer toward the back. So I try this one. Let's see how that works. And then we single crochet all around, 6 single crochet, 1 in each stitch. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The yarn ends you can always move toward the top to get them out of the way. Now we single crochet in the next 3 stitches of the belly. So note we already crocheted in this one, so this here is the next one. And now we can check if the leg looks right. And I think that's okay. Could be more tilted this way, but that's fine. So now we have 2 more single crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. And now we'll crochet on the next hind leg this way. So pointing toward the front. So here again we turn it around and start at the inside of the leg. More toward the back. I'm not sure here if it's this one or this. I try starting here, and if it doesn't look good, I'll redo it. So here we single crochet 8 around the hind leg. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oops, pulling that one tight, and 8. Then we single crochet in the next stitch of the belly here. Before we continue, check how it looks. I think that's fine. That will be okay. So now we only have 1 stitch to go. One single crochet in the last stitch, and that's our round complete. Now our round has 38 stitches, and that's a lot. So in round 3 of the belly, or you may want to call it, no, let's stick to round 3 because the hind legs have one round more than the forelegs. So let's call it round 3 of the belly. We need to make many decreases. So we start with one right here. So be careful not to skip any stitches. Sometimes they may appear very small. So these are the first 2 that we'll crochet together with an invisible decrease. Then we single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we decrease. So the next 2 together. Now we single crochet in the next stitch and decrease again. Then we single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we have 2 decreases in a row. One and another one here. That's it. Now we single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and decrease. Then we single crochet 1 in the next stitch. Decrease again. Then single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. And I believe then we finish with 2 single crochet, but let me double check. Let's make a decrease here instead, so that we have 29 stitches instead of 30. Oops. Once more. There we go. I think that's looking a bit better already. Now that we have all these yarn ends, we can use them to close these little gaps that we have here between the body and the legs. And the other yarn ends we can hide inside the legs, just so that they don't bother us when we continue crocheting the body. So let's just get the working yarn end out of the way so we don't mess with that. And now we have, each leg has one that we fastened off here, and one that comes from the magic ring that we started with. So the magic ring one we can use as stuffing for the legs. They don't need to be stuffed a lot, so if you have long yarn ends, you may want to cut them shorter, I'll just push them in with the scissors carefully and just close them and carefully push the yarn end in, because usually I use the back of my hook, but that's too big for the legs, so just try to distribute it evenly. And I do this with every leg, so I just figure out which one is the magic ring one. And that's the one that I use as stuffing for now, because the other one we'll need in a moment. And just be careful if you're using your scissors as well, just don't damage your work. Now that looks a bit more tidy already. Now we use the other yarn ends to close these gaps that we have here. So one by one, I just thread them on the yarn needle, and then you can close them with a few stitches. So I just stitch through the belly and through the leg, and again through the belly, and again through the leg. And then you can either weave it in, maybe weave it in with a few stitches. And if you still have space in the legs for stuffing, you can use this remaining yarn end as stuffing as well. If the legs are already full of yarn ends, you can just weave them in a bit more and then cut them short, or just leave them. If they don't bother you when crocheting, you can just leave them and later use them as stuffing for the body. And this way I just close all the gaps for all the legs. So you can pause the video here and go ahead with that as well. And in the end we'll just close these little gaps here that we have in the center base chain there. Now we just have this one yarn end left that we started the belly with, and we can use this to close these gaps where we crocheted in both sides of the chain. So I just kind of weave it around these stitches to close them. And once that's done, we just weave it in, and then we can cut it short. Just with a few stitches to secure it. This should be enough. And now everything's nice and tidy. So in the next round, we simply single crochet in the next 27 stitches. So one in each stitch, except the last two. So I'll just let you go on with that. You can pause the video here and hit play once that round is done. And now I have crocheted my 27 single crochet, and the last two stitches we single crochet together, so we decrease so that we have a round of 28 now. So now in the next round, if you don't mind color changes, you can go ahead and prepare a little loop in the cream color or white, because we'll join it in this round. If you don't like color changes at all, don't worry, you can just crochet along in just the brown color. So just ignore when I make a color change and make a regular single crochet in the same color, and later you can embroider the little white spots. So that's absolutely fine as well, of course. I prefer color changes to embroidery, so I thought I'd do it this way, but either way is just fine and will look beautiful. So we start with 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then in the next single crochet we'll change to white. So I do half the single crochet in brown, pick up the yarn, pull it through, and then I pop on the white loop here and finish the single crochet in white. So pull the white loop through the 2 brown loops, and this way we have a brown stitch, but we're ready to crochet the next one in white. And now I'll switch very frequently between colors. So in the next single crochet we'll already change back to brown, and also I'm carrying the brown yarn with me because here we will need it, and then when we crochet in brown we carry the white yarn with us. So the way to do that is we crochet around the yarn that we're not currently using. So this one is going to be in white, but we'll change to brown. So I go through the next stitch, then I go under the brown yarn, pick up the white yarn, pull it through underneath the brown. So then I pick up the brown and pull it through the 2 white loops. So then you can tighten the white yarn if necessary, and then I switch so that the dominant color is on top. So I always hold my yarn like this. I'm not sure, you don't have to do it like this. You can always drop the other one if you prefer, but I find it easiest this way. And in the end, when you're a little bit more practiced, then it's faster, I believe, to hold it like this. So I wrap them around my index finger with the dominant color on top, And then I just hold them in place with my pinky and ring finger so that I have enough tension on them. So now I'll crochet the next stitch and already change back to white again. So I go through the stitch, go underneath the white yarn, pick up the brown yarn, pull it through underneath the white. So now I have 2 brown loops. Then I pick up the white yarn and pull it through the 2 brown loops. And now we change that. So white goes on top, and in the next single crochet we change back to brown again. So go through the next stitch underneath the brown, pick up the white, pull it underneath the brown yarn and through the stitch. Then pick up the brown yarn and pull it through the 2 white loops. And then we change back to brown. And change right back to white again. So go through the next stitch underneath the white yarn, pick up the brown, pull it underneath the white, pull it through the stitch, pick up the white yarn and pull it through the 2 brown loops, switch colors. And now we change to brown. So go through the stitch underneath the brown yarn, pick up the white yarn, pull it through underneath the brown, pull it through the stitch, and then pick up the brown yarn and pull it through the 2 white loops. So for now, we'll stick to the brown yarn. So let's see how many stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I guess, and then we'll change, or 8. And then we'll change. So now we need to carry the white yarn with us because we'll need it on the other side of the body again, and we don't want to just pull it there where we need it, and this would cause tension inside the body and would deform the shape. So now we crochet around the white yarn. So we insert our hook in the next stitch, go underneath the white yarn, pick up the brown and pull it through underneath the white yarn. And then we go on top of the white yarn, pick up the brown yarn and pull it through the 2 loops. So that's 1 single crochet. We need 8 before we change colors. So first we always go underneath the white yarn that we don't need at the moment, pick up the brown, pull it through, and then we go on top of the white yarn and pull the brown yarn through over the top. So this way it gets worked into our stitches. It just comes with us wherever we go, so we'll have it ready once we need it. So 6 more single crochet like this. That was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now let's see. Actually, we can make it 9. Sorry about that. 1 more in brown. And now in the next one we change to white. So pick up the brown yarn and then pick up the white yarn and switch around. Change to brown again. Change to white again. change to brown. Change to white. Sometimes maybe switch colors in a different way so that they don't tangle up like mine. And change to brown. And now we single crochet the remaining 4 stitches in brown, but we carry the white yarn with us again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's the run complete. In the next round, we separate the part that becomes the neck from the back. So we first do the back and then later the neck. So for now, for the first 2 single crochet, we carry the white yarn with us. Then we won't need it for this round, but we'll have it right where we need it in the next round. So here we can stop and we don't need to carry it further. So we can detangle it if it's tangled up and just leave it there for this round. Sorry about that, just a quick detangle. So that's ready there for the next round. Now we single crochet. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now what we do is we chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we skip 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first one that we crochet in is the last brown one here, before, just to the right of the first white one there. So now we should have an opening there for the neck, and it should be centered in the front. So if it's not centered in the front, then maybe you need to shift it a bit more toward the right or the left. And then we just single crochet in the remaining, I think 9 stitches we should have. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now the next round, I admit, gets a little bit tricky because we have decreases to do and color changes at the same time. But don't worry, you've got this. We'll do it together step by step. So we start with a decrease, and then in the next single crochet we change to white. So we start with brown, and then we have the white yarn ready here where we left it in the beginning of the last round. So we complete the single crochet in white, and then we single crochet 1, changing to brown. So start with white, finish with brown, then we have a decrease, and with the decrease we change back to white. So what we'll do is we'll go through the front loops of the next 2 stitches. That's 1 and 2. Then pick up the brown yarn, pull it through, and then pick up the white yarn and complete the decrease. Then in the next stitch we change to brown, there we go, and in the next one we change to white. Oops, so we start with brown and change to white. I'm not switching the colors this time because that's already enough we have to keep in mind. So that should be fine. Now we have another decrease in which we'll switch to brown. So we start the decrease in white. So I'll pick it up and go underneath the brown yarn, pull it through the front loops. So now I have 2 white loops, and then I pick up the brown yarn to finish the decrease. Now we continue with these 4 chains. So we just treat them as regular stitches, but we only crochet in the back loop of the chain. So we crochet 1 in the next chain, and we change to white. So we go through the back loop of the chain, and I think I need to switch. Pick up the brown yarn, pull it through underneath the white, and then pick up the white yarn. Then in the next chain we single crochet in white, changing to brown again. So we go through the back loop here. Oops. Pick up the white yarn, pull it through underneath the brown yarn. Pull it through the back loop of the chain, then pick up the brown yarn and pull it through the 2 white loops. Now the next 2 chains we crochet together, and at the same time we change to white. So brown goes on top, then we go through the back loop of the chain, then through the back loop of the next chain. The way to do that is we get our hook in between the front and back loop of the chain, and then turn it like this. Turn it 180 degrees. Let me show you again. So we get it hooked in here between front and back loop, Doesn't matter if you catch 1 or 2 loops. And then we just turn it this way to get underneath that back loop of the chain. Then we grab the brown yarn, pull it through underneath the white. Now to pull it through the next loop, we need to really twist our hook. Oops, so that didn't work. So here we were. So really twist your hook to get it through, to get the first loop through the second loop. And there we go. And then pick up the white yarn and pull it through the 2 remaining brown loops. Whew. The white goes on top. That was the trickiest part done. Now white goes on top and we single crochet in the next stitch here, which is this one. And we change to brown. So pick up white and finish with brown. Then we switch again. And change back to white. Then we decrease again, changing back to brown. So we go through the front loop, next front loop, go underneath the brown, pick up the white, pull it through the front loops, pick up the brown and pull it through the 2 white loops. Then we change to white in a single crochet, change to brown in a single crochet, decrease and change to white at the same time. So front loop, pick up the brown, pull it through the front loops, pick up the white, pull it through the remaining 2 loops and change to brown in a single crochet. Start with white, finish with brown, and the last single crochet we make in brown, changing to white. There we go, you made it. That wasn't easy. But like I said, if any of this is too complicated, do it just in brown and then you can embroider the white spots later on. That will be just as beautiful and much easier. I just somehow, I don't know, I like to have everything crocheted. I don't like really sewing on body parts, and I also don't particularly like embroidery. I mean, some people are so great at it and that's fantastic. I admire that, but I think it's not my strength. Sorry, actually the last stitch didn't have to be a color change. My apologies, I'm making this up as I go, so sometimes I notice things a little bit late. And I just want to record as much as I can for you before it gets dark, so instead of recording it again, I just admit my mistake. So we just leave the white yarn here and we finish the last stitch in brown, and then we were ready for the next round. So the next round will be much easier because we can just leave the white yarn here and crochet this round in brown. Our round has 18 stitches now, and we keep decreasing in the next round. So we start with a decrease. Then we single crochet in the next. Then we decrease. Then we single crochet in the next. And we repeat this till the end of the round. One decrease. One single crochet. One decrease. One single crochet. One decrease. One single crochet. And again one decrease and one single crochet. So now our round has 12 stitches. Now we can start filling the body, and it may be easier to do so through the neck opening here. Now I just push it in with the back of my hook. And that's enough. We can add later through the neck. We can add more later through the neck opening. So now for the back, we only have one round left to go. So we have a stitch count of 12, and we have 6 decreases in this round. And if you want, you can just do them in brown. If you don't mind the color changes, you can change color at the same time. So I'll be making one in brown, then one in white, and so on. So go through the next 2 front loops, pick up the brown yarn, pull it through the front loops, pick up the white yarn, pull it through the 2 loops, switch, then 1 decrease in white, changing to brown. So front loop, pick up the white, and pick up the brown, switch, front loop and front loop, pick up the brown, pick up the white, and go through the next 2 front loops. You may need to really squish the body together to get your hook in the front loop. Pick up the white, And then the brown. 2 more to go. First we switch. Brown and then white. And the last one is going to be in white. So this is the first front loop here, and this is the last. Pick up the white and then the brown, and that's the last round for the back done. So now we can cut off both colors, pull the brown yarn through, and I'll just thread both on my yarn needle now. And then we stitch through all the front loops of the last 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then pull tight. And now we need to even this out, so we stitch through to the belly, through the center of the last round, through to the belly, and pull that tight to get an even back here. And now what I'll do with the white, I'll thread this one separately now. Stitch through. You can use it if you feel like somewhere you need to embroider another white spot, and at the same time weave it in. Maybe here I could use another one. Then I'll just stitch that through here, and the rest will be used as stuffing. There we go. And then the brown yarn end. Oops. We'll just weave in here at the belly. And the rest can then also be used as stuffing. Now we need to rejoin the brown yarn at the neck, so we can prepare a little loop for that. And then here in the corner, That's where we join the brown yarn. And now we single crochet all around 12 stitches. So first 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches that we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now the remaining 4 stitches we crochet out of the other side of the chain of 4 that we have here. So 1 goes here. There will probably be 2 gaps, 1 here and 1 on the other side, but don't worry, we'll close those later. Then 2, 3, 'and just be careful not to work in the fiber fill. And this is 4. So now we have a round of 12 here. And in the next round we single crochet 1 in each. So we keep a round of 12. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now in the next round we decrease, so we single crochet 1 and then we decrease and we repeat this 4 times altogether, 3 more times. 1 single crochet. Oops, I split my yarn here. Let's do this again. And 1 decrease. 2 more times. 1 single crochet. And 1 decrease. And once more. 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. There we go. So now our round has 8 stitches. In the last round for the neck, we simply single crochet in all 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And here we need a long yarn end, 2 so on the head later on. So I left that at least 40 centimeters, 16 inches. And this yarn, and we can use as stuffing. And then we can also add some more fiber fill to the neck. So here we really need small little portions that fit through the neck opening. Next we'll crochet the head, and once again we start with a magic ring. In the first round we single crochet 6 in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then close the magic ring, and in the next round we single crochet 1, and then we increase 1. So 2 in the next one here. Oops. And we repeat this 2 more times. 1 single crochet and 1 increase. And 1 single crochet and 1 increase. Now I close the magic ring properly. You can do so if you haven't already. Make sure this is all turned the right way, not inside out. And now our round has 9 stitches. In round 3 we start with 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, then we increase, and we repeat this 3 times all together again. So 2 more times, single crochet, 2 and increase, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and increase. In the next round we single crochet in all 12 stitches. That's it. Now in the next round we increase quite a bit. So we start with 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then we increase 6 times in a row. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we single crochet in the remaining 3 stitches. Now our round has 18 stitches, and in the next 3 rounds we'll simply single crochet in all of them. So you can pause the video here and hit play once you crochet 3 rounds of 18 single crochet. So that's round 6 to 8. Once your 3 rounds of 18 single crochet are done, you can secure your stitch by pulling a long loop out. And the stitch marker we'll be using now to mark where the top of the head is. So in this round where we made the 6 increases in a row, they mark the top of the head. So in between increase 3 and 4, that's where we have the center. So 1, 2, 3. So in between these two, that's where this top of the head is, just to mark this so that we get our embroidery right. Because next we'll embroider the nose, because that's easier to do before we insert the eyes. So you can thread your black embroidery floss on the large-eyed sewing needle, and then we can just stitch through somewhere here in round 1 in the center, but it's better if you go through the fibers rather than through the center of the magic ring. This will ensure that you have more control over where the stitch goes. So we stitched through from the inside of the head here to the first round, but don't just stitch through the center of the magic ring, because this way you don't have much control over where the stitch goes, unless you don't have embroidery floss and the pointy sewing needle. If you're using a yarn needle then and thicker yarn, that's fine. So stitch through there and then just leave the yarn end long enough so that we can later tie it together. And then we'll just make a few stitches. Now you can stitch straight through close to the spot where we started here. If you're doing this, then you may want to use some pliers to pull the needle out. That usually helps. If you don't have pliers, you can just stitch back through to the inside of the head and then back outside, and this way there isn't as much resistance, so you won't have to pull so hard. So you don't worry if you don't have pliers, then it just takes a little bit longer. because I'm a bit impatient, I'm using this method here. So also, of course, always better to pull it away from you, which I didn't do the first time. So do as I say, not as I do. So I'm making a few of those stitches next to each other. Once in a while you can just look at it. Yes, definitely needs to be a bit broader still. So the stitch marker marks the top of the head. Maybe one more, and then we make a tiny little mouth. So I stitch through to the same spot here, the center of the nose. So this is the face so far, the right way round. And now we make a little stitch here, like a horizontal stitch. Also, I just see that there's still a gap for the nose, so I'll make one more stitch there as well. So next I'll just cover this part of the nose that's still has the brown yarn shining through, and I stitch back through to the center where I just started this side of the mouth. And make sure the stitch goes where I want it to be. That's it. And then I make one little stitch on the other side just to hint where the mouth is. Just through to the inside of the head. And that's it. So now we can tie these yarn ends together. and cut them short. I just noticed that this edge isn't perfect, so if you want it to be perfect, you can make one horizontal stitch to cover these cover this edge where we have where we made the stitches that may be a little bit uneven. So with 1 or 2 stitches you can cover this, and then you have a nice even line there. So once we're done with the nose, we can attach the safety eyes. So with this, you can experiment a bit. I'll attach them between round 4 and 5. So, I removed the stitch marker back to the last stitch. So, just so you know, 1, 2, 3, this here, that's where the top is. Now we can see it because now we have the nose here that tells us. So let's try and see where we'll place them. I always widen the gap between 2 stitches with my scissors, but very carefully I keep them closed and just widen the gap so that I can get these large safety eyes in. Since we're very careful and don't damage anything, we can still change our mind if we're not happy with the placement. I tried several versions and I came back to this one. So to me that's what looks cutest. So I attached the safety eyes between round 4 and 5, like I said, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 3.5 stitches space in between. So once you're happy with the placement, you can secure them. And then we can start filling the head. That's one eye done. And the other one. So now we need a small amount of fiber fill to fit in the nose, to fit through in between the safety eyes. Even smaller than that, maybe. Oops. So just make sure you have some underneath and around the safety eyes here, so that the head will be nicely shaped. I think I have to use my scissors because it doesn't work so well with the hook. Just carefully push that in position. Then I'll just add some more before we continue with the head. That should be enough for now. We can add more after the next round. So in the next round we decrease. And after starting to fill the head, I always try to push the fiber fill in with my middle finger while I crochet. So in this round we single crochet 1 and then we decrease 1. And we repeat this 6 times altogether. So that we have a round of 12 stitches in the end. There we go. And once more, single crochet and decrease. So now our round has 12 stitches, and that's our last chance now to add some more fiber fill. Now we only have one more round to go for the head, so we'll decrease 6 times in a row. I usually need to squeeze my work together to do all these decreases. Then sometimes you just have to push the fiber fill back in if it squeezes out. It's too and 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's the head done. Of course it still needs ears, but the main part of the head is done. So here we can just fasten off. We don't need a long yarn end because we'll use the long yarn end from the neck to sew on the head later. So now I just insert my yarn needle with the yarn end in the front loops of all 6 stitches. Pull it through, but I don't pull it tight just yet. Once you went through all 6 front loops, then you can pull it tight and then stitch through the center of the round, and somewhere maybe I suggest through to the bottom side of the head, and just even that back of the head out there. And then we just need to weave in this yarn end. Without pulling out the fiber fill, ideally. And then we can cut this short. Oops. And now this little head just needs some ears. The ears we make in brown as well. And we start with the magic ring. And then we single crochet 4 in the magic ring. Close the magic ring, but not too tightly just yet. Then in the next round, when I have a super small round like this, by the way, I just pull my loop out a little longer, then go in the first stitch. And once I'm in there, then I pull my working yarn end tight so that the loop closes again, just so it's easier to get around to that stitch on the other side. So in round 2 we single crochet 1, and then we increase in the next stitch, and the next one is again a bit hard to reach. It's here, so I pull out a longer loop, insert it in the next stitch, then pull my working yarn end tight, and here we increase, so 2 single crochet in here, and now we can pull the magic ring end more tight so that we can make sure that our work isn't turned inside out. There we go. And then we repeat these 2 steps. So 1 single crochet in the next, which is this one here. And 1 increase. In the next, and that's the round done. So our round has 6 stitches now, and in the next round we simply single crochet in all 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oops. In the last round we decrease a little, so first we single crochet 1, and then we make 1 invisible decrease. So crochet these 2 together, And we repeat this, 1 single crochet, and 1 decrease, so that we finish with a round of 4, sorry. So here we leave a long yarn end for sewing, doesn't need to be super long for the ears, and fasten off. And now you can go back to whichever minute I'm going to put right here, or open the description box and click on the clickable timestamp for the ears. Now we just take the white yarn, oops, and thread it on our yarn needle. And this is kind of optional. It's, if you like to do it, you can take the ear and stitch through from the opening of the last round here through to somewhere here, not to the center of the magic ring, like 1 round before, and then you can repeat this stitch like 3 times. So that you have 3 long stitches next to each other. The last one you can stitch through one of the loops here, one of the loops of the last round. And that's it. So then you can just cut it off, and we'll just stitch those through the head once we attach the ears, but we use the brown yarn ends to properly sew on the ears. Now all that's left is the little tail. So that's similar to the ears but much smaller. So we'll also start with a magic ring, and then 4 single crochet in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Close the magic ring, but not completely just yet. And I'm using the same trick again. I pull a longer loop out to get in the first stitch here. And then what I didn't do with the ears, but what is actually really helpful, if you start with the increase, if you have increases to do. So increase in the first stitch, and this will lessen some of the tension, and this will help the little tail turn the right way around. And then we single crochet in the next, increase in the next, so 2 single crochet in here, and 1 in the next, and that's it already. Just turn it the right way around, and now we can properly tighten the magic ring end and fasten off with a long enough end for sewing. This should be more than enough. And now what we do with the tiny tail, we just select one side as the bottom side, and that's where we make a little embroidery with the white yarn. Very easy. So we just thread it on our yarn needle, and then we go through the opening of the last round here and stitch through the magic ring, through the center of the magic ring. And here we just make a few stitches this way. We're stitching through the same spot just to create this white bottom side of the little tail. So I'll just do a few of those stitches and just try to place them next to each other to cover more surface. One more definitely on the other side. And then the last one, I just stitch through one of these loops just so that it's I can leave it at that. So that's the bottom side of the little tail, and that's the top. So here we can fasten off, and we'll just stitch the white yarn through the body later on, and we'll use the brown yarn ends to sew the little tail on. Now it's time to assemble. So you can start wherever you like, but I don't know, I feel like getting the little tail out of the way. That's probably also the easiest part, so just start with that. So this white part here goes on the bottom, and then we just attach it to center it at the back. I'll just pin it in place with 2 pins. Then have a look at it from all sides and angles to make sure that it's in the right place. First, I'm going to get these white threads out of the way. So I'll just start with one of them. And just stitch through somewhere. I'll just stitch through to the front. They don't need to be attached or anything because we'll use the brown yarn ends to properly attach the tail. So this is just to hide these yarn ends. So as I go through, I stitch through somewhere so that they are hidden as much as possible. Pull it through, and then I just pull these again, just so that they will be hidden inside the body. So now if you give it a squeeze, they should disappear inside the body. So now you can use whichever yarn end is longer. They're both the same for me, so I'll just go for this one. Thread this on my yarn needle, and then I just sew it on all around. So I just go through a stitch of the body as close to the tail as possible. And then I go through one stitch of the last round of the tail. And again through the body. And through the next stitch of the round, just so that every stitch of the round is sewn on. Moving on to the next stitch. And remove this one. Maybe this was too far out. So I want the stitches to be quite hidden underneath the tail itself. So I make them as close to it as possible. One more stitch that's visible here. The other stitches are hidden by this white embroidery anyway. So then we can just stitch through somewhere and then weave in the yarn end. And you can just squeeze the tail just to make sure that it's flat. It should be more flat than sphere shaped. As much as you can. So then we just weave this in. Oops. And then we just cut this short. And the other one we can also weave in just for some extra security. And then we cut this one short as well. So that's the tail attached. Before we attach the head, we should attach the ears to the head. So I'll just start with one. And just pin it in place. I don't push the pin through completely because it will poke out, so be careful not to hurt yourself. You can also play around with both ears first, just to make sure it's the way you want it to be, but once you're sure, you can leave the other one and start with one. That will probably be easier. So again, like I did with the tail, I start with these white yarn ends and just stitch them through just to have them out of the way. And they will be firmly attached with the brown yarn end, so we Don't need to secure these. Just cut these short and give it a squeeze. So now they're kind of in place. So I can remove the pin, which gives me more room to. So on the ear, so here I just do the same. The same I did with the little tail, so I just try to go very close to the ear to stitch through the head. And then stitch back through the ear. And here in the front, the stitches are covered by the white embroidery, which is fine. Just continue here on the other side, where I can see the stitches. And through the next stitch. And the last stitch. So then we can go ahead and stitch through the head. And then weave in the yarn end to secure it all. So then the other yarn end, you can just weave in, or you can use it to fix something. Like here I have this white yarn and showing too much, so I'll just try to cover it. And then you can just weave it in. For some extra security. So that's one ear attached. And let me just tell you how many spaces I have, how many stitches space I have in between the ears. But then I'll let you go ahead and let you do this on your own, because you know how to do it now. If you don't already anyway. Yeah, that's where I'll attach it. So here in this round, which is round 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches space in between. So now all that's left to do is crocheting the body and head together. So with the head, we also want to pin it in place first to make sure it's where we want it to be. Just be careful not to poke yourself. So once you pin it in place, just make sure you like how it looks. So look at it from all angles. And once you're happy with that, you can thread our long yarn end on our yarn needle. And now we stitch through the head somewhere close to where our yarn end starts. And then we go through the next stitch of the round of the neck. And then through the head again, as close to the neck as possible. And through the next stitch of the neck. So we don't want to skip any of the stitches of the neck. And then again through the head as close as possible toward the next stitch of the neck. And through the neck again. Oops. I think we don't need the pins anymore. this way. So that's the last stitch of the neck. And that's one round sewn on. Now, if you like, you can do another round to attach it more firmly. I'll leave it as it is, but I'll use this yarn end to close these little gaps here on the side. They're quite small, so maybe it's not necessary, but just, yeah, I just prefer to close them, and I need to weave in the yarn end now anyway. So I'll do both at the same time. That's one side closed, and then the other one. And that's it. So now I'll just make a few more stitches to weave in this end. Cut this short, and that's all done. I hope you enjoyed this little project. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up for me. This helps others find it and benefit from this pattern as well. Thank you so much for crocheting along with me. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my future amigurumi tutorials. Thank you so much. Happy crocheting. Bye.